here. All right, so I am so excited to kick off this edition of the 22-23 academic school year, our first Diversity Dialogues virtual conversation for this school year. We really have a dynamic guest with us this afternoon that I'm just privileged to actually know and have worked with and have been getting to know as a colleague and friend in the person of Dr. Ana López-Fuentes. She is a tenured professor in the Community Dentistry Section of the University of Puerto Rico School of Dental Medicine. She served as Dean of the Dental School from 2014 to 2018. She received the 2018 chair of the ADEA, which is the American Dental Education Association Board of Directors citation for significant contributions to dental education. This citation recognized her outstanding leadership while Dean of the Dental School following Hurricane Maria, which devastated Puerto Rico, as many of us know, and many of us know they're really being ravaged again with Hurricane Fiona, which continues to be a challenge. So let's remember those in the pathway of the hurricane and who are still fighting and getting aid there today. And she maintained the school's accreditation during that time, keeping it open, helping affected communities, thanks to many donations from academia and dental associations throughout the US. She is co-chair of ADEA's Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee, a member of the ADEA Collaborative on Dental Education Climate Assessment. She's been a past Women Liaison Officer, immediate past chair of the ADEA's Women in Leadership Section. She's also a past board member of the Hispanic Dental Association. And really notably, most recently, she has been elected to be chair-elect of ADEA Board of Directors, and she will assume the chair position in March of 2023, where she will be the first Puerto Rican chair of the board of the American Dental Education Association. She'll be the second Hispanic chair of the board, the 10th woman chair of the board, and that's the 10th woman over a 100-year span that ADEA has been in existence. And so it's just really my honor and privilege to have Dr. Lopez with us today to talk about her storied career. And thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Carlos, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here and be part of the celebration of the Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month in the Diversity Dialogues at VCU. A great event that you have put together, and I really encourage you and VCU to continue celebrating, as we all do in our different educational arenas. I want also to welcome the HDA Student Association at your dental school, and I am honored to mentor ours in our dental school in Puerto Rico. So it's great to have our students together and celebrating this month with us. I also want to thank the faculty and the academic community at VCU for inviting me, and it's an honor to speak to you. And my thoughts and prayers are right now with all Floridians and the dental schools and their academic communities as they suffer from Hurricane Ian's causing devastation there. And I'm also in solidarity with all the people in Puerto Rico that are still suffering the devastation of Hurricane Fiona. It's a challenge, it's climate change, and it's something that we have to learn to live, also to prevent damages and to preserve life and safety for all. So thank you once again.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us. And I do want to acknowledge our Hispanic Student Dental Association chapter here that is in a classroom and lecture hall. About 30 of those students and maybe 5 or 6 faculty are there observing. So I'm happy that they're participating with us today. So I want to start out with our first question, right? I mean, you are truly a trailblazer across dentistry and dental education. And I'd love to begin by simply knowing more about your story and you sharing your story with us. Where did you grow up? What influence did your family of origin have on you and your life's choices?
Thank you. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I'm the first of 3 daughters in a middle-class family. Both my parents are devout Catholics, and my mother, like many Hispanic families, comes from a family of courageous, strong women. that have to battle in order to thrive and survive. With lots of personal sacrifices from both of my parents, we all attended a fully bilingual private Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th. My leadership experience started very early on in 6th grade, as I started with my presiding the student council all the way up into high school and beyond. The leadership opportunities since my early school years and the strong family support and background shaped me into an independent, organized and service-oriented individual who cares for the needs of others. There was a lot of sacrifice, hard work, persistence, and commitment. And those words are very familiar to many families that go through a lot to help their offspring have a better future, mainly in our Hispanic and underrepresented communities. My parents are no exception. They sacrificed a lot to make it possible for us to have an education. My mother knew that an educated woman would have the freedom of choice and could make dreams come true. I remember those days when she said, no marriage until a diploma. And she always talked about being courageous and not being a coward. That nothing has been written before of people that don't go the extra mile. So going to college, education, and professional development were part of the expectations for independence and success. To say no was not an option. I was taught very early on that a career gave a woman the independence and criteria to look for her well-being and success in life. They taught me the importance of pursuing my goals and at the same time accept the responsibility for the well-being of others because we were blessed. I learned how important faith and resilience are and learned from the experiences that shaped me. That is very important. As the first generation U.S. college graduate in my family, I did a biology major at Tulane University, and I'm also a first generation dentist. So I had to overcome many barriers and many challenges, but I survived and I'm still surviving.
Yes, thank you so much. Certainly you are still surviving and thriving, might I add. So that's a great narrative and it's great to learn that about you. Can you tell us a little bit more about your first exposure to dentistry and what prompted you to pursue a dental career?
My story is kind of different from many others that I've heard before, but my first exposure to dentistry, since I had no one in my family dental oriented except for an extended cousin, was as a patient and then in school in career fairs. I enjoy going to the dentist and the dental experience. As a biology major, I wanted to study public health and become a registered dietitian. The decision to apply to dental school was made after my experience one summer. We used to work whenever I came back home. I didn't travel for spring breaks or anything. There were no monies for that. So I stayed in New Orleans, except for Christmas and summer. So every summer I went back to Puerto Rico and either studied or worked. And we helped our parents with our education and personal needs. While in college, I took a summer job at a hospital, helping the dietitians with the patient's special diets. I experienced bias as well as the dietitians. They were not treated well nor respected. That experience helped me change the course of my professional path to dentistry as a career option. I wanted to take control of my career. I wanted to do something and I knew different, and I wanted to earn more respect and work towards that respect. And I knew that dentistry gave me that myriad of opportunities as I sought more information about it. But I self-taught myself. I studied alone for the DAT. I took the test, no help, and here I am. So it can be done.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. You talked about the bias you experienced when you were working with the dietitians there. I'd like to know more about your experience as a dental student at the University of Puerto Rico School of Dental Medicine, and really in many ways, you being sort of this double minority in that you are a woman and, Puerto Rican. Were there expectations that you would fail, or did you have role models or examples being one of few women? And how do you feel that influenced the next steps that you took after graduation?
My experience at the dental school was very different than the one in college. In college, although I experienced bias and a lot of harassment, I was independent enough to take control of the courses I took and everything that on my path, my career path. In dentistry, you know that there's a lot of structure and many expectations. So as a woman and someone that went to school in the States, when I came back to Puerto Rico, although I was accepted in some colleges in the States, we decided as a family for me to be back in Puerto Rico because of the cost of dental education and the opportunities to be part of Puerto Rico and the future of the Puerto Ricans. So as a woman and someone that went to school in the state, I was viewed differently. I had to overcome the barrier of not only being a woman, but also coming from the States and being looked at differently. I was not the only woman in my class. We were seen different and had challenges to fit and thrive in the system. Remember, the Hispanic culture is a very close culture where male dominance, it's there. Even though we had some role models, we didn't have as many as we have today. I got to tell you, we have more women in leadership positions in our dental school now than ever before. And still, but there's still more expectations. It is expected a lot more of you as a woman. I learned early on that whenever anyone told us that we couldn't do something, we would work harder and make it happen. It was the challenge, and it's been a challenge all my lifetime. Every time as a new faculty, I remember one day that another professor, a woman professor, said, "Are you going to be able to learn how to work with a computer and do a PowerPoint?" And I go, "Well, I don't know right now, but I learned." And I learned. And then she asked, "What are your expectations?" Well, I want to be a public speaker person. I want to teach a continuing education. Oh, that'll never happen. And those things were always there in the back of your mind, but those were the challenges that we wanted to overcome. So in dental school, going back to dental school, I got involved in many dental associations. I was elected vice president of ASDA, our ASDA chapter. I participated outside the university in different service-oriented activities. I also participated in activities that enhanced my balance and wellness. I love dancing. I participated in talent shows and the arts. I ended my clinical experiences early on and stayed at the dental school doing volunteer work at the expanded functions dental assistant clinics. After graduation, I started working in private practice and in a community clinic. A year after graduation, I was approached by the university and asked to be part of the allied health faculty. I started teaching dental assistants and hygienists. They were my mentors, my core faculty that helped me shape who I am today. I participated in the creation and directed the first dental assistant program at the University of Granada, Spain, very early on in my academic career as a result of a faculty collaborative agreement between the University of Puerto Rico and Granada. This experience paved the way for my involvement in academic administration and leadership. It was a very hard road, but I learned every day. After living in Spain for a year, we went back home and I started my master's in public health in Puerto Rico while traveling to Spain every 3 months the second year. Once this experience ended, I was asked to join the dental school and work with the accreditation process, creating the infection control course. This is the early 90s, but we're not talking about age here. And the infection control and quality assurance protocols for the dental school. And I'm still there, 34 to 35 years, going on strong.
Yeah, I mean, that is fascinating. You've gotten a chance to do so much. I mean, and traveling back and forth to Spain every 3 months. And, it's so fascinating to hear all of that. I know when I was looking at some of your background that you actually started the university's participation in and celebration of Give Kids a Smile Day. Could you tell us why that was such an important initiative for you to start, and more generally about barriers around access to care and ways that we should be working to overcome that?
Well, at the dental school, I also worked I had the experience while working full-time at the dental school to work for a major dental insurance company in Puerto Rico with the Puerto Rico healthcare reform. So I had this 360 view of the healthcare system in Puerto Rico, and the opportunity to become the Community Dentistry Section chief was there. As director of community dentistry, I started 2 major school-wide events that are still up to this day one of my legacies, and are scheduled in the curriculum as dental school service activities. And I'm very much involved with them because they're very close and dear to my heart. The Give Us Kids a Smile Day and the Smiles for Success for the American Association of Women Dentists Student Chapter Initiative. I then accepted the position of academic affairs, and in 2014, I became the dean. The Give Kids a Smile activity in Puerto Rico is kind of different from the one in the States, but we modeled that one from ADA and what we learned from the States. It's called Regala una sonrisa a un niño. It's like in Spanish, the translation for Give Kids a Smile. And it's a 1 day of awareness of dental caries as a disease and the importance of good oral health and oral health as an integral part of systemic health. But we made it an island-wide event. We transformed the event to make it a celebration and to make it fun for kids and people with special needs on the importance of the fun of being at the dentist's office and how to celebrate oral health. So the event included participation of private practitioners, interprofessional, other programs in the medical sciences campus, like physical therapy and nutrition. And we gave the students that came to our school, since it was an island-wide event, it was the event that day all over the island. And we had press coming in. I invited people from the private practitioners, the Pediatric Dental Association in Puerto Rico, like in the States, Colgate-Palmolive, Henry Schein, and the Boys and Girls Club. But we also invited the Down Syndrome Foundation and more than 7 other special needs programs and the island, local press. And I even had our first Miss Universe coming down. I had local artists. So that brought press, bringing the artists in brought press. And then we had the Down Syndrome Foundation had their artists selling their artwork. And then the students that came to the school celebrated by writing essays on the importance of oral health. And all the artwork was related to dental and oral health. So there was a contest on the essays and the arts. And that also motivated the students to come in. Our students also role-played with the children that came to the school on the importance and how to be a dentist. So that empowered the students to pursue, in a way, pursue that as a career. Yeah. During the 2013 event, we also adopted one of our extramural clinics at the San Gabriel School for the Deaf, and we remodeled the clinic, and we brought in the First Lady of the government of Puerto Rico to be there with us at the cutting of the ribbon ceremony. When I was dean of the dental school in 2015, we celebrated the 10th year. So we did an island-wide proclamation with the Secretary of State and officially announcing the day as the day where the dental school is the leader of all the activities in the island, demonstrating the importance of oral health as an integral part of systemic health. So this is an example of how we engage partners and allies to help overcome barriers and to create awareness on the need and to advocate for others. This also gives visibility to the dental school and its role in the community while giving access to care to members of that community. There are many ways to overcome the lack of access to care, but that's a separate topic, Carlos, in itself. But some examples are like advocating for all the oral health needs of the communities, partnering with associations and community leaders. We have to listen. I remember going to places where they say, doctor, don't talk about teeth. Give me water, give me food. And I said, well, we're going to get you food and water, and then we're going to talk about teeth. So it's partnering with them, and doing with the local government and insurance companies, with community clinics, with teachers, educating children on how to brush their teeth and the importance of toothbrushing. So we have a lot of engagement with some communities across the island, and that has helped us navigate and put our school as one that is needed by the community and is out there for service.
No, that is so rich and robust, right? Of a response. And it leads me into my next question, but I want to really emphasize the point you made about you went into certain communities and you wanted to talk about oral hygiene practices, oral health knowledge, oral health awareness, what in research we might call oral health related quality of life. And they said, we really don't want to hear this stuff. What we need is water, right? Or what we need is food. And then you began to meet that need first. And so that really brings out how important social determinants of health are. And I think that we're becoming far more aware of in terms of our curriculum and really imparting to students that there's all these other factors that influence the health outcomes besides simply just what they get, in the operatory with us as dentists. And so that leads me to my next question around the fact that you were the dean of the dental school during really a tumultuous time with Hurricane Maria and the devastation that was there on the island at that time. Can you tell us more about that experience and what it was like to lead in such a kind of unknown time, but also what you took away from it?
It was just the most difficult, besides being a mom, thing that I've done in my life, because when you want to do something good and you want great results, you have to put yourself out there, not 100%, 200, 300%. So with Hurricane Maria, this experience changed our lives. This was an unprecedented catastrophic event, not experienced by our generation. As dean and role model, because remember, when you're in a leadership position, your impact is 5 times more than expected. And a smile can go the distance. A good morning can go far away. So you have to make sure that you are that role model that you want to be. So I was a source of security, support, problem solver, among many other things. I needed to be strong for everyone, for my family, for the school, the academic community, the friends, and the community outside the dental school. We saw poverty in ways never seen before. The devastation, we knew there was poverty in Puerto Rico, but you're so used to do your daily activities that sometimes you forget and you kind of live in a bubble. When that catastrophic hurricane came to Puerto Rico, when the palm trees went down, we saw poverty like never before. And it impacted us to the core. So communication was key before, during, and after. Communication is key for everything. We created checklists, WhatsApp groups, written communications, protocols. Our school became a home away from home, another learning experience. You don't know how many staff members and students in your school, that's their safe haven. That's their safe space. That's where they communicate more. We spend most of our lives in the school, teaching, living there. Our friends become our family. Our students sometimes become family. So you don't know that until you experience something like this. So we were a shelter. We were a safe space for studying, for charging phones and computers. We helped our staff with FEMA forms and many other ways. We with the support of ADEA, ADA, HDA, alumni, dentists outside Puerto Rico, and many individuals, we were able to give bottled water and a hot meal a day to all the students and staff for more than 3 months, and lunch vouchers for students. That was never seen before. We were the only school in the university system that did that. Now they're emulating that. Thank God, that's one legacy with Hurricane Fiona. So that's something that although it was not as strong as Maria, still there's need. And there we have had the experience how to deal with that need. So that legacy is out there. So we also gave supplies to communities outside the dental school. We also had donations poured in from many places, and we gave it all away to those in need the most. I started ad hoc committees and protocols in order to do the donations. I
Mhm.
opened one door from my dental dean's office and the other one, people were just going in, taking the stuff they needed for home, the lamps, the lanterns, the Band-Aids, whatever they needed, the water, and walking out. And we had people coming in and out almost 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
So it was just amazing how we were able to lift and help people cope. We experienced something that I never experienced before that is called collective resilience. When I was down, people helped me. I had angels, people just saying, let's keep on doing this, let's work. And I go, let's do this. When my dean of students was depressed, I chimed in as a dean of students. I had 200 hats. I had communication and meetings every day at 11 a.m. in the patient's waiting area. And since there were not that many satellites up, we said, whoever comes in gets the information and a piece of bread and some water, and we just emptied the first day, we emptied our refrigerators and we brought in everything to the dental school and gave thanks. We also gave thanks. We gave thanks to God for safety and for security, and that we were able to stand in our 2 feet and help others. So that was the lessons that we learned. We learned many also lessons, but we also learned to be grateful and the sooner you provide a sense of normalcy, it's very important because it overtakes the grief and helps us cope, even to brush your teeth and have running water. We learn to celebrate the victories, no matter how big or small, and to celebrate our students. They were awesome.
Yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate this sort of thread throughout a lot of your comments that really are to me emphasize this notion of kind of whole person care, well-being, the fact that we ourselves are not only just a tooth, or our students are not just treating a tooth, they're treating this entire person that shows up. So it seems like that's a real thread throughout a lot of the things you've accomplished. According to ADEA, we are finally reaching parity in terms of female dental student numbers, hopefully leading us to actually achieve practitioner parity as well. As a woman in the profession, what would you say has been the most rewarding aspect of choosing dentistry as a career, and what perhaps has been the most challenging?
Well, the most rewarding aspect of choosing dentistry has been the opportunity to serve, to heal, to change lives, to be an educator, an academician, creating opportunities for others, to open those doors and to be able to represent. That has been the most beautiful aspect. The most challenging aspect has been to bring down barriers, to overcome obstacles, to climb, break that concrete wall in order to achieve a goal or a milestone. For women, for Hispanic women, and for many underrepresented group members, it's harder, but look at me, it's not impossible.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We live in a time where race and ethnicity are kind of constantly in our face, right? And there's a duality around health inequities and disparities that really became clear with COVID-19. We saw a lot of racial reckoning as a result of the murder of Mr. Floyd 2 years ago, with lots of protests, and even things that continually happen, now. How do you think race and ethnicity have factored into your journey or your story? And why do you think, particularly in the health professions today and dental education and dentistry today, why do race and ethnicity still matter?
Well, race and ethnicity has factored in my journey because it's part of who I am, how I was brought up, how I think, how I act. It's everything I am today because of the lessons learned and the life experiences. The global pandemic and the racial reckoning are wake-up calls in every way possible. We realize how much more work we have to do with the underrepresented race and ethnicities in all aspects of our society. We know, and it has been evidenced, how diversity, equity, inclusion, and belongingness has resulted in success for different entities. This has empowered me to do my ethical and imperative duty to be at the table. It's not easy. It was not easy to help others, to open doors for opportunity to education and access to care. We all need to do our share. As a Hispanic woman, I bring to the table that experience, the diverse thought that is unique to each one of us. I learned about persistency and consistency, humility and courage, to think outside the box, to be creative, to continue learning every day, to be strong and resilient, to embrace and empower others, but most of all, to have faith and to never, ever stop dreaming. Race and ethnicity matter today more than ever because we have a lot to work on and learn as individuals. We have to learn to accept, respect, empower, and give opportunities to all. It matters because we live in a society that is filled with differences and not similarities. In which access is not for all. We have a lot of work to do for a more equitable and inclusive society. We are all belonging. We must give opportunities and open doors to underrepresented racial and ethnic groups in the health professions in order to have an accessible, equitable, and sustainable health system and society.
Thank you for that. Surely, along those same lines, obviously over your storied career, almost 30-year career, do you think that dentistry and dental education have become more inclusive? And how do you envision perhaps an even more inclusive profession of the future?
I see dentistry and dental education more inclusive than when I was a student. But there is a lot of work still to be done. We have to address many issues regarding climate, equity, gender parity, inclusiveness, belongingness, racism, structural racism, LGBTQ+ communities, people with disabilities, and so much more. I envision an even more inclusive profession by working on the issues mentioned before and making sure we have accrediting and regulatory bodies that take into account how well we are working towards a more inclusive environment. We have to have that accountability. I envision this can be a possibility also within the new generation of students, curriculum guidelines, competencies, new faculty, accompanied by the desire to help more and to help move the needle to embrace diversity and create safe spaces as we evolve to a more just and equitable dental education environment and society. We have to work together.
Yeah, definitely. With so much you've accomplished in your career and certainly no signs of slowing down, what would you like your legacy to be?
That's a very big question. I want that the underrepresented race and ethnic students to see them in me, to be empowered by and follow their dreams, to be empowered by me. Nothing comes for granted or from pure luck. It is hard work, commitment, perseverance, and consistency. That within my story, I hope they learn the importance to educate and to prepare themselves for whatever path you choose and to continue learning each day. I want to continue opening more doors of opportunity for all underrepresented and marginalized groups, races, and ethnicities. I want our students and our children to see and experience endless possibilities as they see more people like us and like you and me in the profession as faculty, researchers, and in leadership positions. I would like to continue to empower and prepare the next generation of resilient leaders in oral health care. I will continue to work endlessly, promoting access to care for all and to work collaboratively with associations and partners around the world. I think that we can do such a beautiful impact in our world.
Awesome. We have maybe just a moment or two left of time together. And I don't know if we do have a Q&A feature if folks who are on Zoom or students who are in our lecture hall might have a question, if you feel comfortable answering that. So I think Natalia's in the classroom and so can type in any question that might come in, or if you're on the Zoom, you can put it in the Q&A there and I'll ask it. I do want to bring forward ADEA and really its Journal of Dental Education, literally earlier this week, just released a first ever complete issue of our Journal of Dental Education dedicated to topics around equity, diversity, inclusion, anti-racism, access to care for vulnerable populations. There's so much in there. And I certainly want to highlight that Dr. Lopez is the first author, has a first author publication in that edition entitled Oral Health Inequities, Recommended Public Policies to Achieve Health Equity. So if you want to know a little bit more about some of the tangible ways that Dr. Lopez and her colleagues have really thought about ways to make a difference around these topics, I really implore you to look at that issue. A lot of the issue is open access or public access, so that you don't have to have a subscription or membership to ADEA to read it. So I implore those of us, those of you that are on Zoom today, or any of the students that are watching in the classroom, to really check out that issue and see some of Dr. Lopez's stellar work firsthand.
Yes, and I also participated. Thank you for highlighting that. I thank ADEA. ADEA is the voice of dental education. It's the voice of all of us. And this issue is a gift. It's a gift of knowledge. It's a gift of ways, tools that we can move that needle forward. And I'm in awe of all the authors. I know you also, Carlos, you're part of, you have authored another article. I've also helped with one on women and gender parity. So it's rich. And I just by reading like a very quick read of the issue, it's amazing how much information of value and how to transform our educational system is there. So I invite you, as Carlos said, to read that journal, to get involved, to read the Faculty Diversity Toolkit, to help us open those doors, give access, and retain those students and those faculty members that are the future of our profession.
Well, Dr. Lopez, thank you. I mean, this has been so rich. I've so enjoyed it. Obviously, I've gotten to know you personally a little bit through SEDECA and some work with ADEA, but it's just so rich to learn more of your narrative, more of your story, more of your why, where that passion and zeal and fervor comes from. And I'm sure our students enjoyed it as well, and the faculty that participated, and all the folks on Zoom. I know there's some ADEA staff who even logged on and participated via Zoom. So it's always great to know the why, right? I think in life, we often can attempt to ascribe intentions to folks, but we really don't know everyone's why until we ask and really open our ears and our minds and even our kind of hearts and empathetic souls to the why of why you do what you do. And you do it so well and so wonderfully and lead us so beautifully. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you to pick up the mantle and be chairwoman of the board of directors in March, and all that your platform and that year of leadership will bring to advancing all of these issues that you've named and even more. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it, and just have a great, great day. And thanks everybody for joining us. We'll have our next diversity dialogues will actually be in November, but in October, we'll have our entire third annual Inclusive Excellence Week, where we'll have events virtually each day. So I invite you to join us in October for Inclusive Excellence Week. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.